Hey guys, it's Brigitte with San Diego Seed Company, and today I'm talking about watering in your garden. How do you do it? What do you need to know? And just a lot about watering, because it is my #1 answer when people ask, what's wrong with my garden? Okay, I've been gardening in San Diego, which is zone 9 or 10, Southern California, for over 15 years now. And I'm gonna tell you, the thing that I see all the time with new gardeners is they're simply not watering enough. This is a very arid zone, technically semi-arid. It's very dry here. And the hardest thing about knowing how to water is you just can't see underground. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the tips to know whether or not you're watering enough. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna talk about soils, what soils hold moisture. We're gonna talk about irrigation. We're gonna talk about raised beds versus pots or in-ground beds, and a lot more about how you need to water your garden and how you know whether or not you're watering it enough. Okay, so if you're gardening in zone 9 and 10, and specifically the American Southwest, Southern California, I'm gonna almost guarantee that your soil is going to lack the things that make it retain moisture. So that's compost, that is a really important part, and also mulch on top of the soil is gonna hold a lot of moisture. And how you know whether or not there's actually moisture in your soil is you have to get down into the soil. You gonna come and help me? I'm gonna do a soil probe here. Let's show them how it's done. Ready? Let's push it all the way down. And let's see what that looks like. So you can actually see the different types of soil, and you can see I've got moisture 8 to 10 inches down into the ground. That is what you want. If you only have moisture in the top 2 inches of your soil, that's only where the roots are gonna grow of your plants, and you're not gonna have a happy garden. All right, scram kid, we're working.
Come on.
Get out of here. Nice. All right, now, so remember, if you put brand new compost or soil in your garden, it's going to be hydrophobic. So you're gonna have to water even more than you thought before to get moisture into that soil, because it's new and it doesn't want to take on moisture particles as quickly. I fucked that up. Go away. You can't stand here and stare at me like that. Look at your face. Get out of here. Go. Go find something to do.
Bye.
And it's not gonna hold on to moisture as much as soil that's already been rehydrated. Okay, let's talk about the second thing you need to consider is what type of irrigation are you using? Now, if you're hand watering, I'm just gonna tell you right now, you're probably not watering enough, because you have to be extremely patient and water for very long periods of time at very low watering rates when you're hand watering to actually get water into the ground. That's why we recommend irrigation. It saves water, you're gonna save on your bill, and it's gonna water more accurately. This is called inline drip. And what this means is there's emitters that are inside the tube that drip water exactly where you want it. You can see here, I've got some direct sown stuff that I've planted, and they are sprouting right on the irrigation line because that's where the moisture is coming out. Now let's quickly talk about rates. Like, how long do you run this system? Well, it's really hard for me to give you like the winning lotto numbers of irrigation because everybody's system is different. But just to give you an idea, this is 0.9 gallons per hour. It's what Rainbird recommends for vegetable gardens. Do really love it. It's a great system. And we're running it right now in the winter in San Diego, in a winter where we've got no rain, for 20 minutes, 3 times a week. That's a lot of water, more than you might think. Now, if you have an irrigation system that is rated lower than that, so say like half a gallon per hour or micro emitters, man, you might have to run it for even longer. But let's go back to tip #1. The only way to really know is to actually dig into the soil, either to use a soil probe to go down and see how far and how deep your moisture is getting, or dig a hole and see. So you can see I've got moisture that's going at least 10 inches down into the ground. Don't do this. Don't just scratch the surface and go, oh look, there's moisture just right there. That's not enough. You need your moisture to go as deep as the roots are gonna get, because the plant is only gonna grow where there's moisture. So let's talk about raised beds or pots versus in-ground. So this raised bed will dry out way quicker than anything I have planted in ground. And let's go back to 6th grade science class. Why is that? Because there's more surface area for hot, dry air to go around this bed and suck the moisture out. It's also made out of wood. Wood is porous. It can, the moisture can get sucked out of the soil via the wood. On top of that is the fact that just until recently, I hadn't mulched this bed. So it basically was one really large pot that was drying out way quicker than anything else in my garden. So just know, if you have raised beds or pots, whether it's ceramic or plastic or any of the pots that we have lined up here, you're gonna have to water them more frequently because they are going to dry out. And I cannot tell you like how much I believe in mulch. Mulch is just the most important thing in my garden because it conserves moisture, regulates temperature, and really is what makes us successful growing in such a semi-arid climate. Now let's go back to my other point about irrigation. So when you have a bed, it's really important to make sure that the full area of the bed is getting enough moisture, and one tube for the raised bed may not be enough. When you have something that's really dry, if you have a lot of dry soil and you just have a little bit of water leaking into one little spot, the dry soil is gonna suck that away. And so if you have this raised bed that's only getting a little bit of water where this tube is and all the other soil is remaining dry, then that means you're never fully saturating the bed and your plants aren't gonna thrive. One of the #1 tips I give in all of my classes is that the first thing you want to do with your raised beds is fully saturating them by taking a hose, putting it on just a barely little drip, 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 putting it in the bed and leaving it for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how big your bed is, a few hours. Because I want this whole bed to retain moisture and have a reserve of moisture even though I'm irrigating on top of that. I just realized that's a new term we should talk about, a reserve of moisture.
Deep down in there.
Yes, it's always there. Now let's talk about seasonal changes. Every area has different seasons, but specifically when I'm talking about Southern California, and this year we've gotten almost no rain. And that means that we've had many, many months of dryness followed by cooler weather, but no rain. So whatever moisture was in the ground has since now probably evaporated or been used up if you're not regularly running irrigation. So just to give you an idea, we are running the same schedule of watering as we did this summer now, even though it's winter time. I haven't pulled back at all because we've gotten no rain. And that's because I want to keep that reservoir of water in the soil, moisture, because that keeps alive microbes, it keeps the soil happy. Literally, it is the secret to having happy soil, which then gives you happy plants. So just to really run this point home, you want to think about keeping your soil alive, watering the soil, not the individual plants. If you only want to water the individual plants, then you're going to have to look at some different type of gardening like hydroponics or something else. When you're gardening with soil, you got to keep the soil happy, and moisture is critical to make that happen. So last thing, water is expensive and only going to get more expensive for most of us. So really try hard to prevent runoff for 2 reasons. One, you want the water to go where you want it to go, and also you don't want to water weeds. How do you make that happen? Well, irrigating is a key way that we can water exactly where we want it to go. Adding tons of mulch to soak up any excess water, and just being careful and mindful. The more compost and organic matter you have in your soil, the more your soil will act like a sponge and hold on to moisture versus having runoff where you lose a lot of the water. So hopefully this is a good visual for you. This layer here, all of this is how high we've built the soil in our garden. It was that level, and over the years we've added truckloads and truckloads of compost and mulch to bring the garden this high. And all of that is a sponge that's going to hold on to the moisture and hold on to it for a long time, versus this stuff here, when it rains, we actually get a little river that comes down here and just washes away because this is pretty much not permeable soil. So remember, mulch, 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 mulch. Add compost, it's going to hold on to moisture. You're going to have happier, healthier soil, which is in turn gonna lower your water bill and give you a happier garden. All right, so if you're gardening in zone 9 and 10, especially in Southern California, subscribe to our channel so that we can help you be a better gardener. And we want to know from you, how are you irrigating your garden? What settings are you using? How much time are you running it? We want to know, so drop a comment in this video so we can see how you're gardening and how it might help others garden better. All right guys, so I know water is expensive and you might have the tendency to only want to water your garden a little bit, but really in the long run, that's more expensive and more wasteful because you have crops that are continuously not being successful because they're always under water stress. They're wilting and then coming back to life, or doing what we call oh shit watering, where you go out and you go oh shit and you water and then everything comes back to life. You can do that over and over. In the long run, that is a worse way to garden, and you end up wasting water. So know how to water, irrigate correctly and responsibly, and your garden is going to be happier and healthier. Okay, so my favorite part of the video, how can we help you water better in your garden? Well, obviously you watch the video, so I hope you take our advice seriously. It is well-seasoned, well-founded advice. And also we have a few products that can help you. So if you're hand watering, one of the best watering tools is a dram watering head. That's because these heads have a bunch of tiny little holes that make the water spread out and saturate the soil very quickly and actually get into the soil and not run off. We also have timers that we sell on our website so that you can automate your system. And if we don't have it, we have affiliate sites that do have really good irrigation supplies to get your garden watering correctly and responsibly.